A vibrant community, economic prosperity, civic pride, and inclusion. All of these describe the arts and culture in the city of Dubuque. In this episode of Delivering Dubuque,
it is art that you can experience in all sorts of weather, like the wind, which we are having today.
We'll take a look at how our community is using the power of art, culture, and creativity to drive the growth of our masterpiece on the Mississippi. So it's really remarkable to think about the sheer volume and diversity of arts and culture in Dubuque and what that means to us as a city. And that's really what the city's trying to nurture. So here to talk to us today about that is our Arts and Cultural Affairs Coordinator, Jenni Petersen-Brant. Jenni, welcome.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here today. So we're here on the beautiful river walk, looking at some art behind us here. And you know, the city's really trying to do a lot with arts and culture in our community. And I'd love to just hear a little bit more about what you're seeing with that.
Sure, yeah. We just have a huge array of arts and culture nonprofits that exist in our community for the size that it is. We have grant programs at the city. One of those programs is an operating support program that funds a little bit of the operating budgets of our arts and culture nonprofit organizations. Operating support is some of the hardest money to come by, and so the city prioritizes helping with that because we know that in order for you to do interesting, accessible, inclusive programs for the community, guess what? You also have to keep your lights on. The other program that we host is called the Special Projects Program. Every year we hear about new cool ideas coming out of both those arts and culture nonprofits, but also other types of nonprofits. So we recently funded a program with St. Mark's Youth Enrichment so that they could bring in the Bell Tower Theaters programs to their students. Another cool thing, which I think you have one in your pocket, Brad, that we got to help facilitate is this new street art map that
great.
Travel Dubuque put together with some funding from us and from some other partners. But this is something that is a huge tourism draw for the city of Dubuque. People are really using these as a tool to get out and explore and enjoy Dubuque, both as residents and as tourists. So it's really fun to get to be part of special projects like that.
Absolutely, what a great project,
Yeah.
One of the things I think about is what the benefit of the arts is to someone who lives here, but they're not actually an artist. You know, we talk a lot about economic prosperity, we talk a lot about, you know, the quality of life benefits, and what do arts and culture bring to the city of Dubuque and somebody who lives here?
Yeah, so one of the things that this brings to mind is one of my favorite tools, which is on the Americans for the Arts website. They have this tool called the Social Impact Wheel. And if you go to that, it actually highlights things that are important to our daily lives, things from tourism to health and wellness to education. Arts and creativity have the potential to impact all of them. I mean, it makes a community more vibrant and more interesting to be in. It helps our brain health. It helps how we interact as people and create understanding amongst each other. So, and that's one thing that I even love about Art on the River this year with the theme of crossing bridges, that we had 11 artists who expressed ideas of what it means to cross bridges, to come together as a community. We're a community that embraces the arts all year round. One of my favorite events that we get to be part of putting on with the Dubuque Museum of Art is the Winter Arts Festival. So during a time of the year when we're feeling cooped up and we think it's too cold to go outside and we're all getting cabin fever, guess what? We put on a snow sculpting festival in a park downtown and thousands of people get out of their house, come outside, get to experience that joy and activity and see their neighbors again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has so many impacts on us as people, on us as a community, that I think it's really important, and I'm really proud to work in a community that prioritizes and invests in arts and cultural activities.
So one of the things that I love about art in Dubuque is that we actually are weaving it into sort of everyday activity in a lot of different ways, and things that sometimes you don't even really notice, but they're definitely there. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Of Going back to sort of those traditional understandings of arts and culture, sometimes people picture it and think about it being, oh, that's something that happens in a museum, that's something that happens in the theater. But really, from a city perspective, we think about it more as the opportunity that we can weave arts and creativity and cultural representation into the things that happen out in the public sphere. So we have a project that we're undergoing right now called Art en Route. We're actually using art to draw attention to the city's climate action plan, while also celebrating and drawing attention to the great public transit system that we have here in Dubuque. So we're sort of rewarding the public transit users with murals at all of the bus shelters throughout the city of Dubuque. The city of Dubuque celebrated Pollinator Week, and thinking about ideas of how do we raise awareness of and appreciation for pollinators. We had a mural that allowed people to stand up and act like a pollinator in front of a giant butterfly mural. All of those things where we're trying to just bring it out into the public, because really art is for everyone, and we want to make sure that it's accessible in people's everyday lives, and that we're also being inclusive in the voices of the community.
So one thing I want to make sure we remember to talk about here is the City of Dubuque got a $500,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, pretty big deal for a community of our size. In response to the pandemic and thanks to American Rescue Plan funds, we as a local arts agency could apply for a grant. Then we would use that money and we would re-grant it out. So again, creating more partnerships, sustaining the partnerships we already have. So because we have the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, we were able to put our foot forward. We were one of just 66 communities in the country to get funding. We were one of 24 to get the $500,000, and we were the smallest of the communities to get the top award. So we're really excited about that. Also with this money, for the first time, are going to be able to offer an individual artist grant. We can support the ideas that they want to bring forward to create community programs. Also, because it's National Endowment for the Arts, it shines a really great bright light on Dubuque and all of the great things that we have going here. So it's a really cool way for us to just keep things going and keep attracting creatives and creative talent to our community.
I hope you enjoy this poem entitled Where Would Our Stories End?
And keep making these sort of programs and activities really accessible to the community. So we're excited.
Excited is the right word. I mean, it is so easy to get excited talking to you about arts and culture in Dubuque. I mean, you talk about how inclusive it is, you talk about the partnerships that it creates throughout the city, you talk about the quality of life that it brings. All of this is so much about what Delivering Dubuque really is about. So thank you so much for being here today and talking with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Brad. Great to chat with you.